여러분, 추석 잘 보냈어요? Happy Chuseok, everybody. Or, well, week before Chuseok, everybody. What do you mean you don't know what Chuseok is? Everyone knows what Chuseok is, right? I mean, it's only the best holiday and probably the most famous Korean holiday. Okay, maybe I'm thinking a little Korean-centric here. Anyways, we can't celebrate Chuseok then until, I force this knowledge into your brain like every single one of my other videos. So, here comes your next lesson in Korean culture, right after the slavery one. I promise more gaming and zombies content in the future. Chuseok just happens to be next week, and as of the day that I'm uploading this. So I wanted to make sure to have a video made for the occasion and just sort of raise awareness about it. Chuseok is one of the many holidays specific to Korea. I'd say it, Solal, and maybe Hangul Day or Children's Day are the only other holidays I could see people in America knowing that is Korean-centric. But this video isn't about them. Chuseok, also known as Hangawi, is a holiday going back around 2,000 years ago in the kingdom of Sira. Sira, legend goes, has a king that held a month-long weaving contest between two teams. Whoever wove the most cloth won and was served drinks, food, and other gifts from the losing team. This, paired with a general festival celebrating the harvest moon, culminated in a multi-millennium spanning holiday that is still celebrated today. So, when is this harvest moon celebrated? Well, like most of Asia, many holidays, especially those this old and specific to Korea, are determined not by the inferior solar calendar of the West, but by the vastly superior lunar calendar of the East. That's a joke, by the way. Every year, on the 15th day of the 8th lunar month, Chuseok season comes around. This year, it happens to fall on October 6th, but it varies from September to October each year. If you couldn't tell from the brief description, the lunar calendar follows the moon's monthly cycles of its phases, called a lunation. Each lunation spans about 29.5 days. And yes, that gets complicated and means that months alternate between 29 and 30 days in a lunar calendar, and yes, I'm aware that that doesn't add up to 365. But again, that's not what this video is about. So let's instead talk about the important stuff. Like, are there zombies in this Korean holiday? And if not, why am I watching this video? And to that I say, please don't leave. I'm begging you. But also, I swear this is interesting. See, Chuseok colloquially is called Korea's Thanksgiving by the rest of the world, or at least America. I'm sure you can guess what this entails and why it's my favorite holiday. It's a holiday full of gluttonous overeating and oversharing of stories with extended family. It's a time where you get to remember when your weird uncle drank just a little too much soju and passed out on the couch. But I actually think that this nickname is completely false, and it's really only called this because of the American-centric sphere of influence that the Western world lives in. Because I actually think that this is more similar to a different, non-American originated holiday that's just as famous and commonly celebrated as the American Thanksgiving. I'm here to say that Chuseok is actually Korea's Dia de los Muertos, or Day of the Dead for Mexico. There are so many similarities between the two holidays that it's actually crazy that they aren't really considered together more often. Similar to Day of the Dead, Chuseok is not actually celebrated in a single day, but instead over an entire 3-day period. In Chuseok's case, this is the day before, the day of, and the day after Chuseok. Similar to Dia de los Muertos, Chuseok has families coming together far and wide to eat, celebrate, and remember the lives of their ancestors before them. But more than that generalized statement, the similarities get even more specific into how it's celebrated. See, the morning of the day of Chuseok, people in Korea will hold services in their homes to honor their ancestors, which is called charye. Charye is a very important part of Chuseok and sort of signals the start of the Chuseok celebration. Then they'll go and visit graves of their ancestors, clean and maintain them, or also known as balcho. Balcho is basically a name for this entire process, and they'll even leave gifts such as alcohol and food for these graves of their ancestors, very similar to what is done in Dia de los Muertos. Similarly, Koreans even have their own pastry made and eaten for their Day of the Dead. Where Mexicans have pan de muertos, Koreans have songpyeon, a rice cake filled with sesame seeds, red beans, or other fillings and it's generally steamed with pine needles. People even give gifts to one another on this day, just like in Dia de los Muertos. The commonalities really don't stop, and I really hope the rapid swapping of 3 languages isn't hurting anyone's head in the same way it's hurting my mouth. Both holidays often also give gifts to not just the deceased, but to one another. Dia de los Muertos gifts are usually more skull or calavera related, but Korea is usually more food related, giving one another fruit, meat, or, if you really love someone, a fancy spam set. And I do mean that spam. Spam is an incredibly common delicacy in Korea. I promise you that most people from Korea love spam and will love you if you gift them some. And really, giving them spam is honestly just a way of saying you really love someone. Finally, and most entertaining, is that both have a folk dance that is often done and celebrated. In Chuseok, this is gangangsure, a sort of circle dance performed by women in hanboks that in tradition would go possibly all the way until dawn. Again, I say traditionally, but there ain't no way everybody be doing that. And honestly, that goes for most of this stuff. Most people aren't gonna be doing everything that is traditionally celebrated. For instance, there's plenty of other things that are traditionally done in Korea for Chuseok, such as hosting or watching sirum. Sirum is a Korean wrestling sport that is basically, it's not like sumo. It's kind of similar to it, but it's definitely its own sport. But really what is done by each and every Korean is just being together with family, just playing games and eating some delicious food made together and shared by everyone. And very similar to Dia de los Muertos once again. So, in conclusion, really, whether you're just saying a quick thanks to your ancestors and then eating some kimbap, or hosting a huge celebration and feast with your family, I wish each and every one of you a happy 3-day celebration of Chuseok, both veterans and newcomers alike. If this is your first time hearing of Chuseok, hey, it's not too late. Probably. Support a local Korean restaurant, or find a recipe online and try something Korean for Chuseok. It's not about how big the celebration is, just that you do it as a little fun way of experiencing another culture and getting out of your comfort zone for once. But also, you're your own person. I'm not going to tell you what to do. If you don't want bulgogi, that's fine with me. More for me. Anyways, later losers. I'm off to eat way too much meat and rice. I'll see you next time, whenever next time is.